I'm Kevin, and for a hot minute there, I thought I'd hit the goddamn jackpot. Aurora. Man, Aurora was this firecracker brunette with a laugh that made you forget you'd been stuck in traffic for an hour behind a guy who doesn't know how turn signals work. She had this way of throwing her head back when she laughed, like life was too short to do anything halfway. You know the type. Loud, funny, slightly inappropriate in public, and somehow still charming as hell. She moved into my place after 6 months. Rent was expensive, sure, but mostly it was because we were already playing house, so we thought, why not make it official? My place, my mortgage, my name on the mailbox, and every utility bill. She brought 2 boxes, a cat named Tofu, and a vision board, which I still don't understand because I'm a software engineer, not a shaman. She chipped in, I'll give her that, maybe 30% for groceries and utilities. I didn't sweat it. I make decent money. And hey, relationships are about sharing, right? Sharing space, sharing bills, sharing the last slice of pizza unless you want to wake up with a fork mark on your hand. I figured we were building something. A team. Kevin and Aurora, domestic edition. But looking back, I should have paid more attention to how she talked about her job. Always something about her boss being a misogynistic troll or her coworkers being jealous because she dresses too well. I mean, she did have style. Even her sweatpants had flair, but come on. Every job she had, someone was out to get her. Every time. Red flag. Huge, waving, neon red flag. But did I notice? Of course not. Because when someone's walking around the apartment in boy shorts and making you coconut curry from scratch, your brain's not exactly in FBI mode. I was thinking with the wrong head. And the food? God, the food was good. The kind that makes you go, you know what? Emotional red flags are a myth invented by bitter people. For a good year and a half, life was smooth. Too smooth. She'd have dinner ready when I got home. Not every night, but enough that I thought I was starring in some kind of low-budget Hallmark movie. We'd binge-watch shows, take weekend trips to the mountains, have stupid arguments about whether pineapple belongs on pizza, it doesn't, and make up 5 minutes later. It was the kind of relationship that made my married buddies jealous and my single friends want to stage an intervention. My best friend Waylon, a 6 feet 4 inches bearded man-bear who works in construction and treats emotions like suspicious packages. He'd look at me and shake his head like I was a lost cause. Bro, he said once, chomping on a meatball sub like it owed him money. You've been domesticated. It's disgusting. You look happy. Gross. But I was happy. I was in it. All in. And then about 3 months ago, things started to shift. Nothing dramatic. No screaming matches or ominous music playing in the background. Just stuff. Little stuff. The kind of changes you almost don't notice at first, like when someone replaces your shampoo with conditioner and you just feel a little off for a week. Aurora started working late more. Not every night, but enough that it got my attention. I'd come home, expecting her usual, welcome home, babe, followed by some story about how her coworker Gloria tried to sabotage her PowerPoint again. Instead, I'd walk into a silent house. No music, no Aurora, just Tofu the cat, looking at me like, your girl's not here, and I've already eaten your sandwich. She'd leave a note sometimes. Or not. Sometimes there'd be half-eaten Chinese food on the counter. Leftover dumplings. One spring roll. The saddest kind of betrayal. Food she ordered for herself. When I'd ask about her day, she started giving me these vague-ass answers when I asked how her day was. Oh, just the usual bullshit, she'd say, in that breezy, dismissive tone people use when they definitely don't want to be asked follow-up questions. Which was weird, because this woman used to give me a daily novella about her office drama. We're talking plot twists, villain arcs, betrayal, moral dilemmas. All starring her coworkers and some evil woman named Gloria who apparently weaponized spreadsheets. Now, nothing. Just usual bullshit. And that damn phone. Used to be it would lie around like a forgotten remote. On the couch, kitchen counter, bathroom sink, wherever. Now, that thing had tighter security than a nuclear launch code. Always face down. Always with her. To the bathroom, to the laundry room. Probably would have taken it into the damn shower if it was waterproof. I'd be brushing my teeth. She'd walk in, clutching her phone like it was a newborn. Me, hey, everything okay? Her, yeah, just a group chat. Uh-huh. Group chat must have been hilarious, because she'd get these little smirks while texting. You know the kind. That sly little smile that says, I'm either winning the lottery or someone just sent me a picture of something very not safe for work. And the timing. Who the hell gets notifications at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday? I don't know what kind of workplace sends out Slack messages at midnight, but unless she got promoted to the CIA, it was sketchy as hell. The sex? Gone. Vanished. Vamoosed. I'm not saying I need Olympic-level intimacy every day, but when someone goes from jumping your bones twice a week to treating you like a leper with halitosis, you notice. Every time I tried to initiate, she'd have an excuse lined up like she was reading from a script. I'm tired. I feel bloated. Can we just cuddle tonight? Cuddle? Ma'am, this isn't a Pixar movie. I have needs. And the cherry on this crap sundae? The way she talked to me. Not screaming, not insulting. Worse. Dismissive. Death by 1,000 passive-aggressive paper cuts. I'd suggest a new restaurant. Me. Hey, there's this Thai place that just opened. Her. Ugh, that place is so basic. I'd tell her something cool that happened at work. We finally fixed that deployment bug that was. Her. Scrolling on phone. Yeah, that's nice. Translation. You're boring, Kevin. Please shut up so I can mentally text Raoul or whoever the hell this is. She started questioning everything. My clothes. You dress like an IT department. My friends. Waylon's a man-child. My hobbies. Why are you still into video games at your age? Lady, I'm a software engineer. Gaming is the closest thing I have to religion. It's like she was systematically running a campaign to downgrade Kevin to version 1.0, the one with fewer opinions, no social life, and less self-esteem. And like a dumbass, I chalked it up to stress. Maybe her job was rough. Maybe she needed space. Maybe I was being clingy. Spoiler alert. Yeah, turned out I wasn't the problem. 3 weeks ago, Aurora comes waltzing in around 9 p.m., looking like she'd just gone 3 rounds with a wind tunnel. Hair a mess, makeup smudged like she'd applied it with a paintball gun, and this weird post-gym glow, which was fascinating, because last I checked, she hadn't set foot in a gym since the one time she tried hot yoga and spent the entire class complaining about how the mat smelled like feet. I'm standing in the kitchen, nursing a LaCroix like it's whiskey, and I go, rough day at work? Without missing a beat, she mutters, you have no idea, and heads straight for the shower like she just crawled out of a war zone. And then, she does the unthinkable. Leaves her phone on the kitchen counter. Face up, unlocked. Like a trap. A shiny, glowing Pandora's box of doom. Now, I want to make something really clear here. I'm not that guy. I don't go through phones. I don't install spyware. I don't track people's locations like I'm in some low-budget Netflix thriller. I've always believed that if you don't trust your partner, you probably shouldn't be with them. But man, that little voice in my gut, it wasn't whispering anymore. It was doing full Broadway numbers. And then, just as I'm reaching for my drink, a notification slides down the screen like it's entering stage left to ruin my entire night. Vincent, next time we're the red thing I like. You looked incredible tonight. Vincent. Freaking Vincent. Her ex-boyfriend from college. The one she called a jobless man-child with the emotional intelligence of a potato. The one she swore she hadn't talked to in years because, and I quote, ex-drama is beneath me. Apparently, not that far beneath her. I stood there staring at that message like it was a Sudoku puzzle written in betrayal. Upstairs, the shower was still running. I figured I had maybe 10 minutes before she came down looking all squeaky clean and full of plausible deniability. So yeah, I did it. I went full detective mode. Sherlock, Poirot, Veronica Mars. All of them. What I found. 2 months. 2 glorious months worth of digital garbage that read like a rejected 50 Shades of lame script. Late-night texting marathons. Flirty banter that would have made a middle schooler cringe. Plans to catch up over coffee. That, surprise, always happened when I was at work. And the photos. Oh, the damn photos. Not explicit, no? Vincent wasn't that lucky. But they definitely weren't the kind of selfies you send to your dentist. She's in outfits I've never seen before. Lingerie light, Instagram thirst trap stuff. Mirror selfies in some mysterious bathroom. And I can confirm, with absolute certainty, that it was not ours. Ours has toothpaste stains and a broken towel rack. This one had mood lighting and a plant. And Vincent? Vincent was loving it. That man was eating it up like he'd just discovered fire. But the real gut punch, the real knife twist while smiling moment, was reading how she talked about me. Aurora, he's so predictable. Like, I know exactly what he's going to say before he says it. Vincent, still with the boring engineer? Aurora, for now. It's complicated. Complicated. Like our relationship was a Wi-Fi router stuck in a corner, blinking red, waiting for a reset. Vincent, ever the emotionally evolved caveman, followed up with, when you gonna leave his ass for a real man? Aurora, soon. Just need to figure out the logistics. 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 Like I was a UPS delivery. Like breaking up with me was a supply chain issue she had to schedule between brunch and betrayal. 2 years of my life reduced to a conditional status and a post-it note plan titled How to Ditch Kevin Without Losing the Cat. The shower shut off. I had maybe 20 minutes to transform from heartbroken chump to composed human being, but emotionally, I was stuck somewhere between Hulk smash and a sad trombone solo. She came downstairs wrapped in her robe, towel on her head, looking all fresh and clean, like she hadn't just been upstairs rinsing off the scent of deceit and Vincent's approval emojis. She kisses my cheek like we're in some wholesome shampoo commercial. Hey babe, what's for dinner? Oh, I don't know. Betrayal with a side of lies. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I was staring at a stranger. Not just someone I didn't recognize, but someone who'd apparently been holding auditions for Real Man behind my back. Yeah, I was thinking we should talk, actually, I said. Her face did that thing where it goes tight like she'd just bitten into a lemon made of regret. About what? About Vincent. Boom. Color gone. Like someone had hit Ctrl+Z on her blood flow. She blinked. Just for a second, I saw it, fear. Then she put the mask back on, arms crossed, full sass mode activated. Vincent, what about him? You tell me. We stared at each other like we were in one of those old westerns. No music, no blinking, just moral decay and bathrobes. Finally, she goes full defiant. I don't know what you think you know, but I know enough. I saw everything. And right on cue. Here it comes. She deflects like Tom freaking Brady. So you went through my phone? Really? That's what we're doing now? You can't just invade my privacy. Oh, here we go. Classic playbook. Step 1, betray someone. Step 2, get caught. Step 3, cry privacy violation and hope the gaslighting takes hold. How long have you been sleeping with him? I asked. She laughed. Actually laughed, like I'd just accused her of stealing office pens, not rearranging my whole damn reality. Kevin, come on. You're being paranoid. This is ridiculous. Answer. The damn question. Now I sounded like Liam Neeson, only sadder and more betrayed. I'm not doing this. You're acting crazy right now. I am crazy. How long have you been lying to my face? I never did. Shut up, Aurora. You're doing it even now. There was a beat. Then her eyes rolled so hard I thought she might pass out. Okay, fine. Stop acting like we're serious or anything. We're just dating. I don't need to be exclusive to you. You don't own me. So what if I spoke with my ex? What are you going to do? Cry. Oh, there it was. The truth grenade tossed casually while she reapplied lip balm or whatever sociopaths do after detonating a relationship. That was enlightening, I said, standing up. She blinked. What does that mean? It means start packing your shit, I said. We're done. She stared at me like I'd just announced I was moving to the moon to become a goat farmer. Are you serious right now? Over some stupid texts. Oh, stupid texts? You mean the ones where you were playing footsie with Vincent's ego and possibly his manhood? Over you screwing your ex and thinking I'm stupid enough to believe your shit. I never. Aurora, stop. Just stop. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't pacing. I wasn't even blinking that fast. I was calm. Eerily calm. Which, by the way, freaked her out more than if I'd gone full soap opera and started smashing dishes. This is my place, I said. I want you gone. She did this dramatic gasp like I'd just slapped her with a rolled-up constitution. You can't just kick me out. This is my place too. Sure thing. Spoiler alert, it absolutely wasn't. Next morning, I called out of work, because nothing says mental health day like legally ejecting your cheating girlfriend from your house, and drove straight to my lawyer's office. Patricia, my lawyer, sat through my entire story with the same face you make when someone describes the plot of a B-list reality show. No blinking. No judgment. Just pure, seasoned professional. Yep, I've heard this crap before energy. When I finished, she gave a little nod and said, legally, she's a tenant. Even without a lease. I asked. Even without a lease. She's been living there over a year, contributing to bills. You need to give her proper notice. How long? 30 days. Perfect. 30 whole days for her to squirm, sulk, and attempt every manipulative Hail Mary in her playbook, while I sat there sipping tea like the Queen of Petty. What if she refuses to leave? I asked. That's when Patricia smiled. It was not a comforting smile. It was the kind of smile that says, I own 4 power suits and a flamethrower. Then we call the sheriff. She leaned forward. Trust me, I've been doing this for 20 years. Cheating girlfriends who think they have housing rights are not my first rodeo. She broke down the process like she was reading from a How to Legally Obliterate Delusional People manual. The beauty of this approach, she continued, with unholy glee, is that it's completely bulletproof. She can scream, cry, beg, threaten, or offer to bake you muffins. The law is the law, and the law says she's got 30 days. Then Patricia, the angel of lawful vengeance, drafted up the eviction notice. Official letterhead. Legal phrasing. Notarized levels of satisfaction. It was the Mona Lisa of legal documents. Reading through it, I felt something deep in my soul. Not joy exactly, but justice. The kind of peace only a well-worded get out of my house can bring. I got home before Aurora and left the notice smack in the center of the kitchen counter, right where she usually dumped her purse and moral compass. Then I called Waylon. He picked up on the first ring. Bro, Please tell me you're not taking her back, he said, before I even opened my mouth. Heck no. I'm evicting her. Dude. I could hear the grin in his voice, like he'd just watched a dog learn to use a vending machine. I'm proud of you. Waylon showed up that night with 2 six-packs, a bottle of something unidentifiable, and enough moral support to qualify as an emotional support animal. We were mid-Xbox match, him yelling because I kept friendly firing our squad, when Aurora got home around 8 p.m. She came stomping into the living room holding the eviction notice like it was radioactive. 2 fingers, straight out, like it might bite her. What the hell is this? She snapped. I paused the Xbox. Calm. Measured. The voice of reason in gym shorts. Your 30-day notice to vacate. Pretty self-explanatory. You can't be serious. Dead serious. She turned to Waylon like he was going to offer some kind of bro solidarity. Big mistake. Waylon just gave her a friendly little wave, like he was greeting a neighbor he hoped would move far away. Hey, Aurora. Heard you're moving out. Need help packing? Her face went full tomato mode. This is insane, Kevin. You can't just kick me out over a misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding. You cheated. I caught you. Now you're leaving. Simple math. I never cheated. Ah, the classic last-ditch denial. Strong opening. Zero credibility. Waylon snorted so hard I thought he might pass along. Right? And I never shit my pants in 3rd grade. We all have things we lie about. Shut up, Waylon, she snapped. This doesn't concern you. He stood up. Now, Waylon is 6 feet 4 inches, built like a wrecking ball in jeans. When he stands up, people suddenly remember they've got somewhere else to be. Actually, it does, he said, arms crossed, voice calm, which is always scarier than yelling. Kevin's my boy. You disrespected him, which means you disrespected me. So yeah, it concerns me. Aurora looked between the two of us like she was trying to calculate if she could win this one. Spoiler, she couldn't. Fine, she muttered. But I'm not leaving in 30 days. I'll fight this. Go ahead, I said, leaning back into the couch like I was watching an infomercial. But you'll lose. And you'll look stupid doing it. She made this strangled sound in her throat, somewhere between a growl and a cough, and stormed upstairs, slamming the bedroom door like she was trying to win an award for Best Dramatic Exit. Waylon sat down beside me and unpaused the game. Think she'll actually fight it? He asked, shooting zombies like he had a personal vendetta. Nah, I said. She's too smart for that. But she'll make the next 30 days hell just to be petty. I was half right. She didn't just make it hell. She called in backup. On day 3, her best friend Audrey showed up like some kind of toxic fairy godmother. You know the type. Loud, self-righteous, and convinced that being obnoxious is the same thing as being empowered. She barged in like Kramer from Seinfeld, didn't knock, didn't wait, just entered my home like it was her God-given right. This is so messed up, she announced, like she was unveiling a federal conspiracy. You can't just throw Aurora out because you're having trust issues. I didn't even look up from the couch. I can. I did. And she's got 27 days left. She's been living here for over a year. She has rights. Audrey snapped. She does. 30 of them. That's her rights. And then she did it. Audrey, the supreme overlord of unsolicited opinions, planted herself right in front of my TV like she was delivering a TED Talk on moral superiority, except no one asked for it, and her credentials were made of glitter and delusion. Arms crossed, chin up, radiating the kind of confidence usually reserved for cult leaders and bad karaoke singers. You're being abusive, she declared, like she was unveiling a new constitutional amendment. This is emotional manipulation. Waylon, bless him, nearly choked on his cereal at the kitchen counter. Abusive? He hacked between coughs and spoonfuls. Lady, she was screwing her ex behind his back. If anything, Kevin's being generous giving her a month instead of launching her stuff out the window like a reverse Santa Claus. That's alleged. Aurora's voice echoed down from upstairs like she was calling from the witness stand. Alleged my ass. Waylon shouted back, then turned to me and added. She should have just written it in her diary and mailed it to the judge. But see, the real problem wasn't just Aurora. It was Aurora with backup. Audrey had become her emotional hype man. Every conversation in that house turned into a one-act play called Poor Aurora and the Villainous Ex Who Enforced Consequences. Men always do this, Audrey would say dramatically from the living room, just loud enough for her voice to carry into the kitchen where I was pretending not to Google how to legally evict someone using only sarcasm and passive aggression. They can't handle when women have emotional needs they can't meet. Ah yes, emotional needs. Apparently that's the new code for got railed by her ex in the back seat of a Honda Civic while I was paying the electric bill. The next few days were hell. And not the exciting kind with fire and demons. The slow, petty, death by 1,000 irritations kind. Dishes in the sink? Check. Music blasting when I was working? Check. Loud phone calls with her friends about what a toxic narcissist I was. Big ol' check. Audrey kept dropping by like she was Aurora's emotional DoorDash, delivering self-righteous monologues and barely concealed threats in yoga pants. "You're making a huge mistake," she'd say, sipping a smoothie from my blender like she paid rent. But the real piece de resistance was Aurora's version of psychological warfare, domestic terrorism light. She used all my good towels, left them wet and crumpled on the floor like she was drying off an invisible dog. She ate the last slice of pizza I was specifically saving, the one I hid behind the ketchup. She'd subtly move my keys, my remotes, even my damn slippers, just enough to make me question reality, but not enough to press charges. And then came day 5. I was sitting on the couch, trying to tune them both out with some Call of Duty and cold pizza crust when I heard her heels on the stairs. That slow, deliberate, I'm about to make a bad decision kind of walk. She appeared in the doorway wearing this tiny negligee, the one she hadn't worn in, I don't know, 6 months? Maybe more? Looked like it had been vacuum sealed in the back of her lingerie drawer waiting for this exact passive-aggressive deployment. Hair done, lip gloss shining, the works. And she was looking at me like she was ready to negotiate. "Kevin," she said in that breathy voice she used to use back when she still pretended to like me. "Can we talk?" "We are talking," I replied without even glancing up from my laptop. If she was hoping for romantic tension, she was about to be severely disappointed by the smell of reheated soup and Word docs. She plopped herself down on the couch next to me. Way too close. Close enough that I caught a whiff of the perfume she only wears when she's up to something. It smelled like desperation and Sephora. "I know you're angry," she said, her hand lightly brushing my arm like we were on the verge of reconciling after a minor disagreement. "Not, a betrayal. But maybe we can work something out. I miss you." It was pathetic. 25 days, I said flatly, eyes still on my screen. The mask slipped instantly. "Are you shit kidding me right now?" "Nope." That's when she went full soap opera. Flailing arms, dramatic pacing, voice cracking with righteous fury. "You're heartless. You're vindictive. You never loved me." Which, ironically, might have been the first honest thing she'd said in months. "You know what?" she shrieked, her face going red. "Vincent was right about you. You're a pathetic loser who can't satisfy a woman." Oof. She really thought that one would land. But all I could think about was how she'd probably workshopped that line with Audrey over a pint of oat milk ice cream and feminist TikToks. And speaking of Audrey, the supreme overlord of unsolicited opinions, she kept showing up like some kind of legal counsel for the morally bankrupt. She'd perch at my kitchen counter, arms folded like a discount Judge Judy, throwing out suggestions like we were negotiating a damn lease. "What if she promises to go to therapy?" Audrey offered one evening, as I walked into what looked suspiciously like a strategy meeting. "What if she cuts off all contact with Vincent? What if she pays you back for the utilities?" Each suggestion got more frantic, like they were trying to summon forgiveness with a coupon code. "You know what would work?" I said, setting my bag down. "A time machine. Barring that, she's got 21 days left." That earned me twin glares of death, but honestly, at this point, I was just impressed by their persistence. I'd come home from work to find them hunched over my kitchen table like they were preparing for court. Aurora scribbling notes like she was about to plead her case to Judge Mathis. Audrey with her laptop open like a junior associate gunning for partner. "You know what this is about, right?" Audrey said one night as I walked in. She didn't even look up, just kept typing like this was her big closing argument. "He's jealous because Aurora is too good for him." "Yeah." Aurora chimed in, eyes gleaming like she thought she was the main character again. "He's always been insecure." I opened the fridge, grabbed a drink, leaned against the counter, and took a slow sip for dramatic effect. "You're right," I said, nodding. "I am insecure. Insecure about whether you'll be out by day 30 or if I'll have to call the sheriff to remove you. But don't worry, I've got both options covered." That shut them up for about 30 seconds, which in this house was a new record. "You're such a jerk," Aurora snapped. "Cool," I said. 23 days left. By day 7, I could tell the reality was starting to set in. Aurora had been calling around looking for apartments, acting like I was throwing her out into the wilderness with nothing but a bindle and a harmonica. And apparently, brace yourselves for this shocking revelation. Moving out on short notice when you don't have first month's rent plus deposit saved up is harder than expected. I know. I, too, was stunned. She tried the guilt trip approach first, classic opening move. "I can't believe you're doing this to me," she sniffled, eyes all glassy like she was auditioning for a soap opera. "I thought you loved me. I thought you respected monogamy." I replied without looking up from my laptop. When that didn't work, she tried negotiation. "What if I promise to never cheat again? We can work through this. I'll even sign a prenup when we get married." "Oh yes." She said that, with her whole chest. You'll sign a prenup now? I asked, blinking like I'd been hit with a glitch in the Matrix. Wow, that's some Olympic-level optimism. When that flopped, she went nuclear. Fine, she snapped, arms crossed like a toddler denied candy. I don't need your charity anyway. Vincent said I can stay with him. And bingo, there it was. The backup plan. Right on schedule, like clockwork. Day 10. I was working from home when I heard a car pull into the driveway. Through the window, I caught sight of the chariot of Dushabaggery, a lifted truck, complete with chrome truck nuts swinging proudly from the hitch. Truly the Cadillac of compensatory behavior. Aurora had been packing for 2 days, dragging it out like it was a montage in a sad rom-com. Every sigh, every slammed drawer was a performance. But apparently, Captain Savaho had finally arrived to rescue his damsel in distress. Vincent strutted up to my front door like he was expecting a slow clap in a medal. Mid-20s, backward baseball cap, and the smug confidence of a man who'd never been told no by anyone other than a bar bouncer. He knocked like he was with the FBI. I opened the door and immediately understood why Aurora had once described him as young, but mature for his age. This wasn't a man. This was a boy who'd figured out how to fake it just well enough to fool someone desperate for validation. You Kevin? He asked, puffing out his chest like a budget action figure. Depends who's asking. I'm Vincent, here to pick up my girl. Your girl. Like she was a borrowed lawnmower he was returning. Adorable. Cool, I said, stepping back and gesturing toward the stairs. She's upstairs. Good luck with that. He gave me a once-over like he was trying to size up the competition. I could practically see the hamster wheel spinning in his brain. So you're the dude who's been taking care of my girl for 2 years. I almost laughed. Truly. Taking care of? I repeated. No, man. I was paying her bills while you were paying for her Ubers to your place. His face turned the color of a microwave tomato. What's that supposed to mean? It means, I said, stepping aside and grabbing a soda from the fridge. You can have her back now. Full time. I took a sip and raised the can in a little toast. Hope you're ready for that. The beautiful thing about guys like Vincent? They're all bark. No bite. The kind of guy who puffs out his chest, flexes arms that never saw a day of real work, and hopes no one calls his bluff. And the moment you do, you watch them fold like cheap lawn chairs. I could see it on his face, the little hamster wheel in his brain turning, trying to calculate if I was worth the effort. Spoiler, I wasn't. Not because he respected me. Because he was a coward. Whatever, bro. He finally mumbled, trying to save face. Aurora's too good for you anyway. I cocked an eyebrow. Then why was she with me for 2 years while texting you? I asked, casually leaning against the doorframe. Kind of seems like you were the backup plan, just a side piece, not me. Boom. Direct hit. His jaw twitched. His whole tough guy posture sagged just a little. The mask cracked for one glorious second, and I saw what was underneath. Not a man. A scared kid who'd been waiting 2 years for another shot at his high school fantasy, and now that he finally had it, he looked like he might pee himself trying to hold it together. Then came the grand descent. Aurora came down the stairs like she was walking a red carpet, dragging a suitcase dramatically behind her. And right behind her, Audrey, my own personal troll doll with attitude, carrying another bag like she was part of some twisted bridesmaid procession. Vincent lit up like a dumb golden retriever. Ready to go, baby, he said, nice and loud so I'd hear every syllable of that desperate baby. Yeah, Aurora replied, eyes fixed on the floor like she'd just remembered she left her dignity in the upstairs closet. They started heading toward the door, but Vincent wasn't done. No, of course not. Captain Cargo Shorts always needs the last word. Just so you know, he said, turning back with all the dramatic flair of a soap opera villain. Aurora was never really yours. She was always thinking about me. I stared at him for a second, then smiled slow and wide. If she was thinking about you while she was with me, what makes you think she won't be thinking about someone else while she's with you? Silence. Beautiful, blessed, stunned silence. Aurora's mouth dropped open like she'd just seen a magic trick. Audrey looked like someone had crop-dusted the hallway with fart spray. And Vincent, poor Vincent, was trying so hard to process that comeback, you could practically hear the Windows XP error sound playing behind his eyes. Screw you, dude, he finally barked. Nah, I'm good, I said, already turning away. But thanks for the offer. They walked toward the truck, and I could already hear the preamble to some kind of exit monologue brewing behind me. Aurora had that look, like she was ready to deliver some Oscar-worthy line about how I'd regret this, or miss her, or whatever cliché she pulled from a Hallmark breakup movie. I didn't give her the chance. I just shut the door, right in the middle of whatever profound, rehearsed speech she was about to deliver. Boom. Door closed. Scene over. Through the window, I watched them just stand there, confused, talking to my front door like it was going to respond. Probably still monologuing. Waylon, who'd been watching the whole thing from my kitchen window like it was the series finale of a drama he'd been binge-watching, started slow clapping. "Bro," he said, grinning, "that was beautiful." "Thanks," I said, still watching the two confused ex-lovebirds yammering at my closed front door like it might apologize. "Drinks? Hell yes." We clinked bottles and toasted to the end of the Aurora era like we were commemorating the fall of some tyrannical regime. "You know what the best part was?" Waylon said, taking a swig. "What you said to him. Dude's gonna be paranoid as hell now." "Good. He should be. If she'll cheat with you, she'll cheat on you." Waylon nodded sagely. "Think they'll last." I shrugged. "Give it 3 months." He raised an eyebrow. "Maybe 4 if he's really good in bed." We were both wrong. The first week after Aurora left was like detoxing from a drug I didn't realize I was addicted to. The withdrawal was real. I kept reaching for my phone to text her random shit. Memes, TikToks, passive-aggressive commentary on houseplants. I'd cook for 2 people out of habit and then stare at the extra plate like it had betrayed me. At night, I caught myself pausing, waiting to hear her peeing at 2 a.m. with the door open like modesty was a government conspiracy. But by week 2, something shifted. I started coming home to a quiet house that stayed exactly how I left it. No dishes mysteriously appearing in the sink. No rogue coffee mugs breeding on the nightstand. No makeup scattered across the bathroom counter like a tiny Sephora had exploded. And, oh, the silence. Not the tense, soul-sucking silence of someone giving you the cold shoulder for using her loofah, but actual, peaceful quiet. I could watch whatever I wanted on TV without negotiating through a landmine of, "But we're already in the middle of season 3, debates." I could eat cereal for dinner without getting the look. You know the look. That, "Wow, this is who I chose" look. I could leave my socks on the floor for a full day and no one launched into a TED talk about shared spaces or respectful cohabitation. Day 12, I changed the locks. Not out of spite. Out of self-preservation. Also, Aurora still had a key and I wasn't taking chances. I repainted the bedroom, finally putting an end to the reign of her dramatic accent wall. A shade of purple so aggressive it looked like it had opinions about your lifestyle. Bought new sheets too. The old ones smelled like her perfume and betrayal. Waylon came over to help me move the furniture back where I wanted it, instead of where it flowed better with the room's energy or whatever Pinterest-fueled nonsense Aurora had been high on. "Dude," Waylon said, cracking open a soda. "Your place actually looks like you live here again. No more weird throw pillows shaped like cats." "They were decorative," I said. "They were a crime against masculinity," he shot back. "Fair. But honestly, the best part? Rediscovering my own routine. I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed my morning coffee ritual, when I wasn't rushing to accommodate someone else's schedule. By month 2, I was actually hitting the gym again. Not those couples yoga classes Aurora used to drag me to, where I'd spend an hour pretending to find inner peace while wedged between 2 overly flexible soccer moms in Lululemon. No, I'm talking real workouts. Heavy weights. Sweat. Soreness. That satisfying pain that says, "Hey, at least you're not paying $30 to hold pigeon pose while wondering if you farted." My bench press went up 20 pounds in 6 weeks. Turns out when you're not constantly stressed about relationship landmines, your body responds like, "Oh, so we're actually focusing on you now? Cool." And then the gossip started trickling in. Around week 6, mutual friends who'd been quieter than a mime in a library suddenly got brave. Apparently, post-breakup etiquette has a 2-month expiration date. Jessica from our friend group was the first to spill. I ran into her at the grocery store while I was trying to select non-squishy avocados and not look like a guy who Googled how to pick good avocados in the car. "So," she said, raising one eyebrow like she'd just been cast in a soap opera. "Heard about Aurora and Vincent?" I didn't flinch. "What about them?" "He kicked her out after 3 weeks." That got my attention. "Seriously?" "Oh yeah. Apparently she told him she was pregnant, and he ghosted her. Like, poof. Changed his number and everything." I nodded slowly, grabbing the firmest avocado I could find. "Rough." Jessica leaned in like we were in aisle 7 of the Pentagon. She tried crashing at a few friends' places, but, you know, it's Aurora. She overstayed her welcome real fast. I moved on to the tomatoes. I didn't say anything, but inside I was doing a touchdown dance. "Last I heard," Jessica added, clearly thriving, "she's back living with her mom." The mental image hit me like a gift-wrapped ego boost. Aurora, 25, explaining to her mother why she was moving back into the same pink unicorn-themed room she'd once stormed out of with. "I'm never coming back," framed in teenage angst. Chef's kiss. Then came the updates from Waylon. Naturally, the man was running his own CI-level intelligence op, because if there's one thing Waylon loves more than craft beer, it's drama. Drama more than a teenage girl. "Bro, you're not going to believe this," Waylon said one night while we were elbows deep in a basket of wings at Murphy's. The man looked way too gleeful for someone holding a drumstick in each hand. Remember Audrey? Aurora's psycho friend who kept defending her like she was some sort of misunderstood Disney villain. Unfortunately, I muttered, tearing into a wing. Well, he grinned. Apparently Aurora tried crashing at her place after Vincent kicked her to the curb. Lasted 4 days. I raised an eyebrow. Only 4. Yup. Audrey booted her ass too. Something about Aurora eating all her food and never cleaning. Which, shocking. Truly stunned. He said it with the mock expression of someone who just found out water is wet. I nearly choked on my beer. So let me get this straight. Her own ride or die kicked her out because she couldn't stop raiding the fridge and being a slob? Waylon nodded solemnly. Tragic. Betrayed by the very woman who once yelled at me for not respecting Aurora's healing process. He air-quoted with his greasy fingers. I leaned back and laughed. What healing process? She ghosted therapy after 1 session because the therapist didn't validate her horoscope. Waylon snorted. It gets better. She's been sliding into dudes' DMs on Instagram. Like old classmates. High school guys she hasn't spoken to in years. Just randomly messaging. Hey stranger, like she's not 7 disasters deep. The desperation is practically audible, I said. Dude, he said, wiping his hands on a napkin like he was about to deliver breaking news. She even messaged that weird guy from our gym who only does bicep curls and hits on the smoothie bar staff. Bold strategy, I said. What's she even saying? Hey, remember me from 11th grade? I've got a mystery baby and a fridge that needs restocking. Waylon shrugged. Pretty much. The mental image of her scrolling through her contacts like she's drafting a fantasy football team is chef's kiss. Not because I want her to suffer, but damn, Carmen knows how to boomerang. I nodded, pretending to thoughtfully chew on a celery stick. Think the baby's even real? Waylon made a face. 50-50. Either she's pregnant and trying to trap some poor bastard, or she's not pregnant and still trying to trap some poor bastard. Either way, she's screwed, I said. Fast forward 3 months. Life was peaceful. No more drama. No more decoding passive-aggressive sighs. I was hitting the gym regularly, meal prepping like a smug health YouTuber, and finally enjoying my weekends without emotional turbulence. Then came Josie. I met her at this little coffee shop downtown, the kind with exposed brick walls and baristas who look like they write poetry about espresso. She was in the corner booth, laptop open, expression focused. She looked like she was either coding something revolutionary or plotting the cleanest murder known to man. Naturally, I was intrigued. The place was packed, and I had nowhere to sit. Mind if I join you? I asked, gesturing toward the opposite seat. She looked up with these incredible green eyes and said, Sure, but fair warning. I'm debugging code, and my internal monologue is mostly profanity right now. I blinked. Fair enough. I'll try not to interrupt your existential crisis. She smirked. Too late. We ended up talking for 3 hours. No exaggeration. She was sharp, funny, and didn't say like every other word. Total green flag. She actually had her life together. No crystal energy readings or dreams of starting a gluten-free sock company. Just actual goals. When I mentioned I was fresh out of a long-term relationship, she didn't flinch. Didn't pry. No raised eyebrows or, oh, what happened? Nonsense. Good, she said, taking a sip of her coffee. Fresh starts are underrated. That was it. No therapy session. No awkward silence. No weird follow-up questions about my ex's astrology sign. Just acceptance and moving forward. The contrast with Aurora was like upgrading from dial-up to fiber optic. Every conversation with her had felt like trying to defuse a bomb with a blindfold on. Except the bomb was emotional instability, and the countdown restarted every time I said the wrong thing like, did you use my debit card again? Or no, I don't want to go to your cousin's MLM party. But Josie? Talking to her was like a cool breeze after escaping a house fire. She'd crack a joke, and I'd actually laugh. Not that nervous, preemptive, please don't make this a fight, chuckle I had mastered with Aurora. Josie would ask about my work, and not only listen, she remembered. As in, she'd bring up things I said a week ago. That alone made me wonder if she was some kind of wizard. We started hanging out regularly. Coffee dates turned into dinner dates, which turned into weekend hiking trips where she'd confidently leave me behind on the trail, occasionally calling back. You sure you're not dying back there, city boy? I'm conserving energy for the descent, I'd shout between wheezes. And also for not dying. Priorities. Josie had her own apartment, her own car, and, get this, her own functioning adult life. I wasn't subsidizing her Netflix habit or picking up takeout every other day because she was too tired from her candle-making side hustle. And she didn't expect a standing ovation every time she paid her own phone bill. The best part? She liked the things I liked. She'd suggest sci-fi movies I'd been secretly dying to see, knew more about craft beer than I did, and had opinions, strong ones, and could actually go toe-to-toe with me in a Star Wars versus Star Trek debate. She was wrong, of course, Star Wars all day, but she held her ground with enough fire and evidence that I found myself nodding like, okay, you're still wrong, but I respect the hustle. For months post-Aurora, I realized I hadn't thought about her in weeks. Not in that bitter, ugh she ruined my life way, and not in that sad, maybe I should check her socials and spiral for the weekend way. Just not at all. Like my brain finally installed the latest software update and wiped out all the glitchy, bug-ridden memories. Goodbye Aurora.exe. May you crash on someone else's system. You know what's weird? I said to Waylon one night while we were sitting on his porch, drinking IPAs that tasted like regret and citrus. What's that? He asked. I keep waiting to miss her, I said. But I just don't. That's not weird, he said, kicking his feet up. That's called growth. You finally figured out the difference between loving someone and loving the idea of someone. He wasn't wrong. I had been in love with the potential version of Aurora. The one who was grateful I stuck around. Not the one who weaponized that loyalty whenever she needed an unpaid Uber or rent money. The one who thought my stability was sexy, not boring. The one who wanted to build a life with me, not squat in it until she found someone with better countertops. But that person, she never existed. And I'd made peace with that. 6 months after the great eviction, as Waylon liked to call it, our mutual friend Alex was getting married. I'd known the guy since college, back when ramen counted as a food group and laundry was a group activity, so skipping his wedding wasn't an option. And Josie? She looked unreal in the emerald green dress she picked out. Like she'd walked off a movie set where the main character doesn't need saving because she's too busy saving you. I was just glad to be the guy next to her, pretending my tux wasn't rented and slightly itchy. The ceremony was outdoors, trees, sunlight, overpriced string quartet, the kind of Pinterest-perfect setup that made you believe love wasn't a government scam. Josie and I sat in the back, holding hands, watching Alex promise to love and cherish someone who, unlike certain people I could name, actually deserved it. Think that'll be us someday? Josie whispered during the vows, her voice soft and a little teasing. If you play your cards right, I whispered back. She squeezed my hand and smiled. And for a moment, I forgot that weddings were basically romantic minefields for people with relationship baggage. The reception was in full swing, music loud, lights dim, and someone's aunt already 3 champagnes past polite when I spotted her. Aurora. She was tucked into a corner table like a secret nobody wanted to keep, wearing a black dress that was clearly meant to hide her very obvious pregnancy. Except, plot twist, it wasn't working. She looked tired. Not just, I've had a long day tired, but I made a decade's worth of bad choices in 6 months tired. Her hair was shorter, her face thinner, and she kept fiddling with her purse like it was wired to explode. The bump was real enough to have its own zip code. She kept shifting in her seat like her body hadn't gotten the memo that it was supposed to be glamorous and glowing. Josie followed my gaze and cocked her head. Is that her? I nodded. Yep, that's the ghost of Christmas poor decisions. She studied Aurora for a second, then shrugged. Oh, that's her. That's all you've got. I blinked. I expected more. More what? I don't know. More drama. More claws. A hiss maybe. She just looked sad. Sad was the word. Like someone who'd been running a long con on life and finally realized the house always wins. The manipulative confidence was gone. No smirk. No sparkle. Just a woman who looked like she'd aged in dog years and maybe lost a bet with karma. I figured we were good. We'd made eye contact during the best man's speech. Her eyes widened like she'd seen a ghost with better posture than she remembered. I watched her cycle through surprise, hope, and some kind of emotional constipation that looked like determination. All red flags, obviously. So I did what any emotionally evolved man-child would do. I avoided her. I kept Josie on the dance floor, even during the slow songs that made me look like a malfunctioning Roomba. Hung out by the bar where Waylon was busy convincing Alex's groomsmen that kombucha was a government scam. I basically treated Aurora like she was a landmine from an old war. Dangerous, unnecessary, and best left alone. But during the cake cutting, Josie went to the bathroom, and I snuck out for some air. And that's when she struck. Kevin. I turned and there she was, standing by the garden entrance like she was in the final scene of a soap opera no one had been watching. Her hands clutched her purse like it held the last shred of her dignity. Aurora, I said, casually slipping one hand into my pocket, the universal signal for, I am very chill and definitely not emotionally panicking. Didn't expect to see you here. Alex invited me. We've stayed in touch. Of course they had. She moved closer, like a bad idea in heels, and I could see the desperation blooming in her eyes. You look good. Really good. I gave her a polite nod, the kind you reserve for co-workers in the elevator when you're both pretending not to be alive before coffee. Thanks. I've been thinking about you about us. Aurora, don't. Please, just let me say this, she said, her voice cracking like an amateur soap actress mid-rehearsal. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Vincent was nothing. Just some stupid fantasy I thought I wanted. And now I'm pregnant. No kidding. The baby bump was about as subtle as a clown at a funeral. And it's not Vincent's. I raised an eyebrow. Wow. Plot twist. I know it sounds weird, but you were real. You were good to me, and I know I threw everything away, but we can start over. With the baby. I looked at her, standing there in her stretchy black dress of denial, begging for another chance from the guy she cheated on. 6 months ago, this little hallway ambush might have wrecked me. Now it just felt like someone was trying to sell me back my own stolen TV. I'm sorry things didn't work out for you, I said. They could work out for both of us, she rushed out. I know it's complicated, but we could make it work. You always said you wanted kids someday. Aurora, are you serious? Are any? Yes, I am, she insisted. We loved each other once. We could love each other again. The delusion was breathtaking. I mean, truly Olympic level. She seemed to think this pregnancy came with some kind of amnesty package, like her uterus was a reset button for all the crap she'd pulled. And that's when Josie appeared beside me. No fanfare, no theatrics, just grace and timing that would make a Broadway stage manager weep. She slipped her arm through mine like she'd always been there. Which, let's be honest, she basically had. Hey babe, she said with a kiss on my cheek that felt like punctuation. Everything okay? Aurora's face went white, then red, then a color that hasn't been discovered yet and probably shouldn't be. She looked Josie up and down. The perfect blowout, the designer dress, the kind of poise you can't fake even with a Pinterest board and a dream. You must be Aurora, Josie said pleasantly, like she was complimenting a dog that peed outside. I've heard so much about you. Who the hell are you? Aurora snapped, voice going full kettle boil. I'm Josie, Kevin's girlfriend. Girlfriend? Aurora looked between us like we'd just confessed to raising wolves in the guest room and letting them vote in local elections. How long? Aurora asked, her voice tight. For months, I said. For months. Her face twisted like I'd just kicked a puppy. You moved on in 4 freaking months. I shrugged. I moved on the day I caught you cheating. That hit her like a brick. Whatever composure, she had left completely shattered like cheap glass. This is unbelievable, she hissed. Unbelievable. I'm carrying a baby. My life is falling apart. And you're out here playing house with some. Careful. Josie cut in smoothly, still smiling, but her tone had an edge that could have peeled paint off a wall. Aurora turned to her like she'd just noticed her for the first time. You don't even know him, she snapped. You don't know what he's really like. He's boring and predictable and yeah. Josie interrupted, voice bright. Boring and predictable. Sounds terrible. I love him that way. Brutal. Aurora looked like she'd just been slapped with a silk glove filled with bricks. There she was, pregnant, disheveled, and emotionally flailing, trying to scrape together something from the ruins of a relationship she'd set on fire. Meanwhile, Josie looked like a damn magazine cover. Calm, confident, radiating I win energy like it was perfume. People were starting to glance our way. Alex's new wife was giving us that should I call security or popcorn this look. And that's when Waylon appeared. Because of course he did. He showed up like a Disney sidekick with 2 champagne glasses and a grin that said I know exactly what I'm doing. Aurora, holy shit, is that you? He swept toward her like he was about to twirl her in a waltz. Look at you, glowing. Aurora instinctively stepped back, like his positivity might be contagious. Waylon stopped and tilted his head dramatically. Pregnancy suits you. You look, he paused, thoughtfully. Exactly like someone who got exactly what they deserved. And then, in what could only be described as the most choreographed accident in history, Waylon tripped. I put tripped in quotes because we all knew what this was. Champagne flew right down the front of Aurora's already tragic black dress. Oh shit, my bad, he said, in the loudest fake shocked voice I'd ever heard. Here, let me help you clean that up. He pulled out a napkin like a magician yanking a rabbit from a hat and began dabbing at her dress, which somehow made the stain grow, like it had ambitions. Aurora stood there, soaked in champagne, mascara doing a full descent, looking like the ghost of terrible decisions. It's fine, she said through gritted teeth, trying to keep what little dignity she had left from sliding down her legs with the mascara. No, I insist, Waylon chirped, still dabbing, now with the gusto of someone buffing a car. Kevin, you got any club soda? This is a disaster. Josie leaned in, slipping her arm through mine. Kevin, want to get some air? More than anything, I muttered. As we walked off, I could hear Waylon in full fake helpful mode and Aurora's voice behind us getting higher and more desperate. The words got lost in the music and laughter of people actually enjoying themselves. Imagine that. The world didn't stop spinning just because Aurora had a meltdown in heels. Shocking, I know. Your friend is diabolical, Josie said as we stepped out onto the balcony, the cool air hitting us like a reward for surviving the social warfare back inside. Waylon is a national treasure, I said, raising my glass in an invisible toast. If pettiness were an Olympic sport, he'd be a gold medalist and a crowd favorite. Josie laughed, really laughed, the kind that scrunches her nose and makes her lean into me like I'm her favorite person on the planet. Which, by the way, I am. Sorry, not sorry. Inside, people were dancing, champagne was flowing, and life went on without a hitch. Except for Aurora, of course, who vanished shortly after the great bubbly incident of the evening. Presumably to go home and wring out her champagne-soaked dress and rethink the life choices that brought her to a party she had no business attending in the first place. Do you think she's okay? Josie asked with a smirk, sipping her drink. Physically? Sure. Emotionally? She just got doused in vintage shame and bad decisions. She'll need at least one wellness retreat and a new astrological chart to recover. We spent the rest of the night dancing like no one was judging us, which they weren't, because all eyes were still on the human soap opera that had just exited stage left. We laughed with old friends, toasted to new ones, and cheered Alex and his new wife like civilized people who hadn't just witnessed a hormonal hurricane in heels. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. No more guilt, no more wondering, no more looking back. Aurora was officially filed away under bad ideas and cautionary tales. I never saw her again after that night. A year later, I married Josie. We kept it small, just family, close friends, and Waylon, who officiated the ceremony while wearing a velvet blazer and quoting both Shakespeare and Beyoncé. If you liked it, then you should put a ring on it, he declared solemnly, right before pronouncing us husband and wife. Josie looked like sunlight in a dress, and I looked like a man who'd finally figured it out. We bought a house with a lemon tree in the backyard and a creaky porch swing that Josie insists is charming and I insist is an accident waiting to happen. We argue about it weekly. It's the best. We work. We travel. We fight over where to order dinner from. She steals the covers. I snore. It's messy and beautiful and nothing like the exhausting drama I used to call a relationship. Sometimes I think back to that party, to Aurora, mascara streaked and soaked in champagne, demanding something she had already thrown away. I don't feel angry anymore, or hurt, or anything really. She was a chapter. Josie is the story. And me? I'm good. Actually, I'm great. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.